I'm here to introduce Teno Boone and begin our conversation. Teno Boone is a curious, collaborative adventurer who crafts visions to enroll others in exploring new frontiers. He graduated from Johns Hopkins University with a bachelor's in science degree in chemical and biomolecular engineering in 2013. He has held multiple engineering and leadership positions and currently leads Owens Corning's Global Glass Composites Process Innovation Team. In addition to his engineering work, Teno has executed a number of real estate transactions, creating affordable housing solutions for residents in the city of Columbus, Ohio. He's actively involved in his church community that challenges him to live the adventurous life he believes he is called to. Teno enjoys new adventures, cycling on and off road, snowboarding, and getting outdoors with his wife Kelly and his daughter Raina. Everybody give a very loud virtual applause to Teno Boone.
Hey everybody, and thanks Akosa for the introduction there.
Of course. So let me kick this off. Um, I guess my first question for you is what excited you about the future back when you were in college, back when you were in my age, I'm 18, back when you were in my age, I'm 18. And what excites you now concerning what's next for you?
Yeah. So what I was excited about, I mean, really kind of going into Hopkins because I guess you're kind of in that freshman year. I mean, I was really just excited for what Hopkins could do for me, outside. I mean, to be honest, I mean, so I grew up in Baltimore. Again, my family had ups and downs in terms of just stability, and so I really saw Hopkins as the way, my ticket to the good life, and so I was excited about opportunities to get out and really start making a good living there. Um, I mean, I think through my time as a student, I really got to appreciate just the experience and it's really all the exposure that I got, at Johns Hopkins University. I'd say what excites me now is really, I think, seeing people grow, develop, and actually become more of who they were meant to be. Um, I get to see that really as a leader in my company. I get to see that in my family as a husband, and certainly now as a new father. My daughter's about 15 months, and so really being able to pour into people and see them grow. That's actually what really excites me. It gets me out of bed today.
That's amazing. I also heard, or not heard, but you just said that you grew up in Baltimore. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm
hmm
not from Baltimore. I'm from PG County. So
PG, okay. Hey, I mean,
yeah, you know,
it's close.
yeah, Dommy. So and I definitely connect with the sentiment of loving to watch people develop. Like definitely like that's one of I guess one of the things that has um really helped me grow is watching the people around me and
Mhm.
watching like where they came from. Like that's so inspiring to me. And watching where they came from and where they're going and where how hard they're working definitely like puts puts fire under my butt to go get what I want to get, go get what I need to get. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So like kind of on that, what made you choose I choose to go to Johns Hopkins? I mean, I'm sure you're a talented student. If you got in, could have gone anywhere in the world. Why JHU?
actually, it's actually really interesting. Johns Hopkins was not my top school. Johns
Okay.
Hopkins was barely on my radar. I was one of the reasons why the main reason why I added it was because my dad mentioned it because he used to he didn't go here, but he used to teach not he isn't what am I saying? He used to be a nurse at or used
Okay.
to work as a nurse, registered nurse at the hospital in
Yeah.
Baltimore years ago, like 10 years ago. And he just mentioned it because he knows he's worked at the medical campus and he mentioned the school. So I added it to my list. Didn't think I was gonna get in. Wrote my essay, like my supplemental essay, like just legit, just threw it together. And and
You
it's
were that good, huh?
yeah. When I went back and read it, I was like, oh wow, like because like one of the prompts was about like what do you have to offer,
Mm,
and I think I went on the website and I went on Hopkins website and I realized that Hopkins is all about like breaking down this idea that it's a very cutthroat school. So like they're trying to, I guess, work the PR out of being collaborative and like emphasizing collaborativeness within the school community. So that's what my supplemental essay was about. And then my personal statement was like one of the best papers that I feel I've ever written. I worked for like 5 months on that.
mm,
So that's how I got in, or that's how I think I got in those papers. But I chose here because um when I got a scholarship, but the scholarship with like it was still the cost to go here was still more expensive than other schools. So that wasn't the deciding factor. It was really what Hopkins could offer me in terms of public health, because like that
mm,
was really my focus then and now. Like it was what I knew I wanted to do, was study public health. And Hopkins has the number one program in the country, the world, whichever comes first for that. So, and it was also Hopkins would all what it is, and back then April 2021, me thinking would be one of the best, if not the best, places for me to jump off to go to dental school, because I'm a pre dental student, so that is um, the me thinking ahead of like what I will gain in terms of like the kind of public health education I would get from here, type of public health experience and exposure I would get from this place, and how this place will potentially help me get into dental school. Well,
mm.
were definitely the reason why I'm here.
Awesome, awesome.
So, um, on the not contrary, but like on the opposing side of like my first question about what excited you when you were in my shoes. But I wanted to ask like what scared you about the future back when you were me, and what scares you now? Because um currently, well, I can answer this question and then you can say your thing. You can
Sure.
say your
Yeah.
response. What scares me now is like the future. Like even though I try to plan for it, there are like the unknown unknowns that happen in our lives are the things that I can't plan for. Those are what really scares me, because like I know that like I have the work ethic to get what I want, but I don't know the obstacles that will come up along my way, and
Mm,
if I'll be able to overcome them like I overcame the ones in the past. Like will they be bigger, or will I
mm.
not be as good, or it's just doubting
Yeah.
myself, are and like also many part like since I'm like going moving on to like med school, not med school, but dental school, like there are my future's in somebody else's hands at those some at other points in time. So it's like that's
Mm.
me too. So what scared you?
Yeah, man. I mean, I can absolutely relate about, just kind of the unknowns. I mean, I think generally, I think everybody, we like a sense of planning, a sense of stability. And, like, I mean, I think if anything has taught us anything in the last 2 years is that we don't know what might happen. And, and, and so I can certainly understand that kind of fear of the uncertainty, man. And I don't think you're alone in that. I think for me, it was similar. It was fears about the future, but I'd say, I think I was really scared that like everything because I actually had a full scholarship kind of coming to Hopkins. I was a Baltimore scholar, but I was also a Gates Millennium scholar. So I mean, it was like lots of affirmation, lots of promise, and I think I was just scared to let people down, like that I would fail, that I would just kind of end up just kind of being average, and so in some ways, I think a lot of what I got into was, all right, like how do I be outstanding? How do I be exceptional? How do I differentiate myself? Because if I don't do these things, then I'm just, again, I'm not going to be living up to all these expectations that I think we're kind of not necessarily set, but that I maybe put on myself. So yeah.
Literally, like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
There was like I connect with that so much because like I set expectations for myself, and the only reason I set them for myself is because like I've lived up to them in the past. So I'm
Mm,
like, if you've done this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, and like I have a standard for the things that I do. So like when things don't turn out the way that I want them to, I um think that it reflects badly on me. And like I've heard there's this, I forget what it's called, but like when people associate their worth with their work or with the results of the things that they do. So it's like the we think negatively of ourselves at times, or like we potentially doubt ourselves or don't think that we can do all the things that we can do, because if we don't live up to the expectations that we set for ourselves, and if we don't do these things and we don't do this and we don't do that, then we aren't who we say that we are.
hmm
So yeah, so
Yeah,
that
like our identity is in our performance, right? Like our identity is in our accomplishments, and I mean, I think that's we can kind of get into that trap, especially I think when you kind of come from communities or people in your neighborhood to where you really start to see some differentiation, and you're like, hey, you're going to Hopkins. Well, it's just like, hey, maybe a lot of people that um that it grew up with, maybe they graduate from college, and again they're doing something completely different, and so it's just like, man, I got this great opportunity. I really need to make the most of it. At least that's kind of some of the thoughts that were kind of going on in my head, like, hey, I really want to make something of myself, because I know, you know a guy I've been hanging out with pretty much my whole life would love this opportunity. So
yeah. Um, Another question I have for you. Um, do you believe that Johns Hopkins has helped you in your development professionally as well as in your identity, like what we were talking before? How else did this place change you in any way?
yeah, I mean, I- so in terms of identity, I think I was able to kind of get firmer. This place made my identity firmer. And again, I think it brought out things that maybe have been hinted at. I think in my time in high school, and that sort of thing. And really, I mean, again, I'd kind of been talented in math and science. But what kind of came out with my Hopkins experience is I really discovered that I'm actually a leader. Um, and that wasn't something that I expected to really come out with. And really, it was in, I think, with interactions with with OMA, again with the Black Student Union. I mean, groups like NESB. Even groups like the Alumni Student Association, so which I know Elena probably shot that out. But like it was just kind of it was kind of just kind of cemented that um, again, I can really kind of work with a group of people to kind of accomplish a task. And then so again, it kind of started with, hey, I would just kind of be leading a committee or project in a student group, and then then eventually I'd wind up leading the organization. And so I think that what Hopkins did was really, I think, kind of firm up and kind of challenge a lot of different things, because again, I think I've had this desire to be the same person in every setting, and that's very hard for a black man, at Hopkins. but also in corporate America. I mean, you kind of talk about this code switching thing and things like that. I mean, at least that was what we called it, back then. I don't know if
It's
folks are
still
still
competition.
it's
Yeah.
still called, okay, like,
Changed.
hey, yeah, you with your boys, and you're like, hey, what's going on? Then and then it's like, yes, how you doing, sir? How you doing? Like that type of thing. And so, I mean, I kind of hated that, and so it's just like, how do I actually stand firm in who I am, no matter what space I'm in? And Hopkins test, it really tests that. Like, are you going to, kind of conform to the majority of where you're at, or are you gonna kind of stand firm? I mean, I think sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. Um, Standing firm even today, as a kind of, as a leader in my company, I still struggle with that. uh and but I will say that, again, when I take bold steps, when I take, steps of vulnerability, I actually like the results that I'm kind of getting. And so, um I think that people sense that, you're being authentic. And then I think that authenticity brings a level of trust that allows you to connect with people, I think, in a more powerful way. And I would say that I started some of that journey, here at Hopkins, because I think prior to then I was in, I mean, growing up in Baltimore City, I mean, you're in a lot of majority Black environments, and Hopkins really said, all right, we're going to flip that. And, we're going to, you got to test, are you going to still be true to who you are in these different spaces, to where you're a lot different than everybody else around you. And so that's where it's, I would say, I don't think Hopkins changed, but it helped me refine, it helped me solidify, it tested, all right, who am I, like, who am I in all these different types of environments.
Absolutely. No, I connect with that a lot too because in high school, and especially when you brought up leadership in high school, I and now really, and it's and let me finish my what I was my idea. In high school, I really took it upon myself to be a student leader. Like that was what made me happy. Like that was my extracurricular. Like I was the vice president of this group called Black Cultural Alliance at my school. I went to Bishop McNamara. If anybody's from PG County, you know what that is. It's a majority. It's like it's a majority Black school, majority Black Catholic school in PG County in the Archdiocese of Washington. And even though it was a majority Black school, this club, we talked about like social issues that affected Black Americans and Black people around the world. And we said we had a big event in February for Black History Month, and it was doing things like that and being in charge of setting things up like that really made me firm in my identity of who I was, of like I like leading because I like the um I like how I'm able to express myself in what I create and what I produce. So moving into college, it was me knowing that if I'm going to be a leader, I have to be comfortable with expressing myself in all like spaces, in all forms, in all ways, and making sure that I don't lose myself. Because when
Mhm.
leaders lose themselves, what are they leading? You know what I'm saying? So, uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So definitely
Nah,
that.
no, that's good, man. I am kind of curious, man. When you think about, like, hey, you kind of had these, went to JHU, you thinking about the public health and the dentistry. I mean, how have kind of expectations matched reality for you?
So far.
Yeah, so far. I mean, it's just a couple months, right? So
I mean, Hopkins, is it what I thought it would be? I don't know. I thought reason I was apprehensive about applying to Hopkins and like actually like saying yes, I'm gonna go here was the school culture. I didn't know how it was gonna be, like how people were gonna be. I thought it was gonna be like super like um hostile as in like the antithesis of collaborativeness, and people would be like rude and stuff. And I was like, and I didn't think that I would be able to like make friends here because I didn't know like the type of people that went here. But like at the same time, I think I was at the same time I was like deluding myself because like I wanted to go to like USC, which was like I don't know how people act over there any either. So it was like, and that's like 3,000 miles away. This is much closer. So it's like I don't know. And they're both PWIs. So is it what I would thought it would? Is it what I thought it would be? No, it's harder. I thought I would I thought it would adjust a little bit easier. My first couple weeks were a little rough. My first day was really bad. Yeah, it's a long story. We will not fit the run of show for this. That's too much. So, but my first day was a lot, and then I sort of got my footing when I started finding things and doing things that I like to do. So, like when I got my internship at OMA, programming is I had already had experience in that in high school, and I love like putting my hands in things like this, like why I call myself a student leader, getting involved on campus, doing events like these, like that's what really makes me feel at home here.
Yeah.
And I started getting into classes that I liked. Not getting into as in like liking like what we're talking about. So like I'm a Spanish double major. So my Spanish class, it's a 300 level course. I tested very high into the class. And we do a lot of work, but I like the class. It's a great and I'm happy like with the other classes that I have and like being able to pick my schedule. I just started finding things that I liked about being alone, being an adult. I've always been a really independent person. So like, and I've always been a pretty confident person. So those two mixed together in college, once I got past like my stumbling blocks, my first couple weeks, like I feel like I flourished. So
Nice.
yeah, so it's been really kind of beautiful watching myself. But
Hey
it's
man,
not,
I'm a fan already, man. And
I'm fan of you.
yeah, uh,
Yeah.
Hey, gentlemen, just wanted to connect with you and let you know that we are running close to time, but we did want to bring up somebody. We had some amazing conversation on the chat. I'm not sure if
yeah,
you were able to follow because you were so engrossed, but I just wanted to make sure that they asked some questions. So we put it in the chat and we're going to invite Tori McIver to come and ask the question. So I think Tori, are you there?
yeah, yeah, yeah. How you doing?
How are
I'm
you?
great. I was driving, so don't
Okay.
tell anybody.
So
So
Tori, you had a question.
I did. I wanted to because you both talked about. So I am also originally from Baltimore, and you
Mm,
talked about from Baltimore as well as the young man is from PG. So PG being a predominantly black um, county,
Honey.
as well as Baltimore being a predominantly black city.
hmm
So we understand the dynamics and the changes. So you all were talking about, the young man was talking about how he sometimes measures himself by his accomplishments or his success or lack thereof. And also the 2013 graduate, I want to say both young men, right? But the 2013 graduate, you had also shared about sort of not wanting to disappoint people. So my first question, and I'll get out of your hair with the two quick questions. I'll pose the first one first and then the second one. So um, the gentleman that graduated in 2013, what high school did you come from? I went to Poly. And the
hmm
second question for both of you is, how do you handle failure and disappointment? Because I think people need to understand the dynamics. There is a transitional period when you come into Johns Hopkins. I went to an HBCU for undergraduate. So I have a degree from Morgan. I also have a degree from Towson, a second degree from Towson. And I'm working on a master's in systems engineering at Hopkins now. I started in the pandemic and I'll finish in May. Yeah.
mm,
So just went straight through, knocked it out. And it definitely was a challenge for me. It was really tough. So I
yeah.
understand the young man saying it was tough. I think
Yeah.
July of 2020, I cried the entire month. but I got through it.
There we
And then
go.
we're graduating in May. So I'm going to be quiet, mute my line, and listen in to answering those questions. What high school did you go to
Yeah.
in Baltimore City? And then both of you, how you handle failure and disappointment, how you navigate that. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So yeah, no, thank you, Tori, for the question. And you can call me a young man. I really appreciate that. Thanks.
No, really honest, came out. My first degree was in '92. So
Yeah. So yeah, and I did graduate from the Polytechnic, Baltimore
I knew
Polytechnic
it. I knew
Institute as
it. I
well.
knew
So yeah. Yeah, so I mean, so first of all, I mean, coming from BPI, I mean, failure is only temporary for BPI graduates. So we know we're always going to overcome. But no, I mean, so I think realistically, I mean, failure can certainly, I think, be tough, but it's ultimately inevitable, and I think that we really got to reframe failure, because I mean, particularly I think in the sciences, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not failing in the things that you're trying to be doing, I don't think you're going aggressive enough. And I think that that can apply to several different things in life. But really, I think we have to kind of, I think, make sure that we're always in that growth mindset. If we look at failure as an indication on, I think our capacity, to succeed in the future, I think that'll be a downward spiral. But if we look at failure is a step in the process to get where we're going, and we look at failure as really learning opportunities, I think we can actually, what I think has been coined, fail forward. And to be honest, I mean, I think at this point in time, I mean, there's been several different failures that have happened in my career. I mean, and that sort of thing. And again, it's about learning from it and kind of saying, okay, how do I do something different? How do I learn for that? How do I be better next time? And I mean, that for me has been the big shift to where I mean, I'm not, again, we always want to put our best, and I think we want to be confident in our capabilities. But I mean, failure will happen, and it's not something I think to be afraid of. It's something I think to embrace, and it's something that again, if it's not happening, if we're not seeing it, we might need to set more aggressive goals.
I definitely connect with the idea of a growth mindset. What I can say about failure, um, I sort of, I guess, since I'm a student, I see failure, or like what I've experienced of it is like academically. And um, in high school, if you go to Hopkins like for undergrad, you didn't fail that many tests. Like that's just a given. So like when I got here and I failed my first bio midterm, that was a lot. That was a lot,
Hmm.
bro. That was a lot.
Yeah.
I was a little devastated, but but the growth mindset really kicked in for me because I once I like was on myself like for the rest of the day. I was like, dang man, like I should have did so much better. Like, bro, like that's a fail. That's a like and like that's a bad, and I felt bad. So after I gave myself like that little day, and then the day after I said, you know what, Akosa, buckle down. Let's go through the study aids better than we did this last time. Let's study throughout the period of time before the next midterm. Let's remind myself of always looking back in the material, always looking actively at the assignments, always getting as many points on stuff as possible and working towards that. And my second midterm, I did much, much better. I have a midterm
Mhm.
tomorrow, and we're going to do
Yeah.
great.
Oh man, we need to wrap this up, man. Get back
Yeah.
in that library, man.
So, so I for it's definitely the growth mindset. It has to be there. Like I would have failed the second midterm again if I just dwelled on my first. So I definitely try to. I give myself that little day, them couple
Mhm.
hours, and I'm like I'm mad and I'm sad. And then the next day, you gotta go back to work. and go to work better and smarter. So that's how I navigate that.
Nice.